DNA analysis reveals the evolutionary relationships between species. You know that, and as a matter of fact, we can take a big old fat DNA species. What's that? What is all that? Give me a DNA species. DNA sequence. Go, go, go. A, C, 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 T, T, A, A, G, G, A, C, 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 G, T, C. Yeah. That's all it is. Bunch of letters, bunch of bases.
Is there any mistakes in
that? Possibly. This is actually the base sequence for a species. So this is the most common. Yeah, it's longer than this. They're doing a portion of this that varies from these other species, and that's how they're building what? What can you build using those comparisons of DNA species? You can build a, what's that thing called? Phylogenetic tree. Phylogenetic tree. We sometimes see cladogram used interchangeably, but yeah, this is really probably more correctly called a phylogenetic tree. So you all did this, you looked at this, you manipulated this, you worked with it. I want you to notice something. So if we go to the first question that you were asked about this, and you should all have your own screenshots back. You might want to check Classroom right now. Notice on this phylogenetic tree there's this one species down here. It's not really closely related to anything else. And it says, according to the phylogenetic tree in this lab, all annel lizards are more closely related to one another than they are to Leocephalus carinatus. My Latin's rusty. They always do this. And there's a technical term for it. It's not outlier species, but that's what's sticking in my mind. They always put in one species for comparison that's outside the group you're looking at. And that's a way of contrasting and, saying, okay, well, all of these are really closely related, and this one is more distant. So it's a way of contrasting and providing some context. Okay. You looked at this. You looked at this, you applied the colors, and you answered some questions about it. Here's what I want you to talk about at your table. Do you see any patterns? Are there any patterns that you see here? I heard somebody say pink, brown, yellow, green, yellow, green. So every time there's a split, it kind of looks like there are two paths, doesn't it? Heck, here we have one species that diverges and we have brown and green and yellow. We have common ancestors that end up looking a little bit different. Huh, interesting. Then you did this. What patterns do you see there? Yeah, it's a little bit different pattern, isn't it? Because it's like blue, blue, orange, 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 blue, blue. Where, well, if we looked at more species, it's possible. They think this is all the species that exist of annals that exist on Hispaniola and Puerto Rico. In this case, this species splits, but those are all successor species that live on the same island. This species splits, but those are all successor species that live on the same island. So we have multiple species evolving on each island. Are the lizards on the same island more closely related to one another than lizards that look a lot like them on a different island? Yes. Who are the lizards on Puerto Rico mating with? Multiple choice. Other lizards on Puerto Rico, lizards on Hispaniola. Lizards on the same island. There is no lonely lizards looking for love, singles cruise. Though that would be kind of fun. You get a little boat, you get lonely lizards looking for love. You send them over to the other island to mate with lizards. But there's a problem because they're not the same species. So they're mating with lizards on their own island. They can't mate with lizards on some other island. So in general, lizards, no, leave your stuff. Lizards are going to be more closely related to other lizards on their same island. Okay. I meant to talk about a word. Ecomorph. Ecomorph. How many of you have heard that word before we did these notes? It's not in your vocabulary. Let's break it up. Let's break it apart. Morph. Talk to one another at your table. What does morph mean? I heard a lot of people say morph means change. In the other class, I heard references to the Power Rangers. And they morph. When they morph, what are they doing? They are changing shape.
There's also the show animal.
They are changing their shape. They are changing their shape. Morph means shape. Morphology is the study of the shapes and forms that living things take. What is eco reference? Nature, we think of it in terms of nature. Ecosystem, ecology. Ecomorphs have shapes or forms that have evolved to fit their ecosystem. Their form is driven by the ecosystem they live in. When we look at both of these phylogenetic trees together, coded by ecomorph, coded by island, which tree is consistent with the following hypothesis? The same type of animal lizards evolved independently on each island. Yeah, we have really similar lizards on Puerto Rico and Hispaniola, but they're not the same species. Interesting. Interesting. The animal species of Puerto Rico, and which of the following statements is supported by evidence from the tree? All these species descended from a common ancestor, evolved from a common ancestor. Yeah. Which of the following statements is supported by evidence from the tree? Similar adaptations evolved on different islands. Yes. Now, here's what I want to mention to you. How many of you have done CEE in English? Cite evidence. Explain the evidence. Expound on it. Expand on it. Okay. That's what you're being asked to do here. You're not being asked to explain or expand. That comes later. But you're being asked to draw a conclusion from a graph. We do this a lot in science. You could cite the graph as your evidence for that statement. Now, why is this important? 2 reasons. Number 1, you're going to have to do this on the air test in the spring. I want you to get your happy little took us out of here. But here's the other piece. And, of course, you do better on the air test. The state of Ohio says I'm a better teacher. You do badly on the air test. The state of Ohio says I suck. Oh, yeah, you didn't know that. Yeah. Fun fact. The other reason for you to get good at this is the following. You are going to take the ACT next year. Every single junior in the state of Ohio takes it. If you would like to go to college, and if you would like to get somebody else to pay for some of that. Now, the skew on scholarships for athletics versus academics, I think, I'd have to look this up again, I think it's about 85% to 15%. About 85% of the scholarship dollars in the U.S. are academic, not athletic. So there are people who go on full ride athletic scholarships, but there are a lot more people who get dollars for their academic performance. The big way to get somebody else to help pay for your college is ACT scores. That's huge. More important than GPA, more important than just about anything. You rock the ACT, you get a 30 on the ACT, you're going to get a ticket someplace. Yeah, you can. And somebody is going to give you a nice chunk of change to go there. You get a 30 on the ACT. You get above a 30, you're going to be paid to go to, you're going to not pay to go to school. Now, biggest thing on the ACT science portion, using charts and graphs as evidence to support statements. Being able to look at a chart or graph and interpret it, and being able to look at charts and graphs that are types that you may or may not have seen before. So I try to work this in because I would like you all to do better on the ACT, because I would love for somebody else to pay for some of your college. That's a wonderful thing to have somebody offer to help you pay for college, because you're a clever critter. So that's a good skill. Okay, the last slide we're going to talk about, and then we're going to talk about my crazy, wild, harebrained scheme for Friday. You watched a short video, and according to Dr. Losos, independent evolution of different species, similar species on different islands is an example of which of the following. This is what we call convergent evolution. We're going to talk more about it in the next unit, so it's sort of a teaser right now. What does it mean to converge? I just did it with my hands. Go ahead, everybody. Take your hands. Converge. Well, no, actually, we weren't doing the sexual reproduction, asexual reproduction thing, but to converge, together. To converge is for two things to come together. When you see convergent evolution, you're looking at two species that end up looking kind of similar in some way because the environment rewards the same things. Similar environments on both islands. You have areas where they're up in the trees. Pretty similar environment. It rewards the same things in those lizards. So you end up seeing the same kinds of body types emerge. So, okay, we'll stop there. Tomorrow, here's what you're going to do. You're going to be looking at more air test questions. I apologize. But they're going to be cladograms based on DNA sequence, because that's the kind of cladograms you had here. And I'm going to be asking you to analyze those DNA-based cladograms, because we're still talking about chemical evidence for evolution now. And then we will be playing the mistake game with it. So tomorrow you're going to have a short video, and you're going to have some air test questions, and you'll probably have different videos assigned to you again, the way we did one time before. Okay, that's it. Now let's talk about what's going to happen on Friday. And I'm going to stop the video. If somebody shows up on Friday, they'll find out for themselves.